Let's talk about the Trump administration's draft rules that could fundamentally change federal housing assistance. These aren't minor tweaks. This is a potential earthquake for millions relying on programs like Section 8 and public housing. The core idea? Shift power to local authorities and landlords, letting them impose stricter conditions on tenants. It's a move away from housing as a safety net toward a temporary, conditional handout. The two biggest changes: first, evicting entire families if one member is undocumented. Second, mandatory work requirements and time limits for public housing residents. This is part of a broader push to tighten eligibility for federal benefits. If enacted, these rules could upend the lives of people in subsidized housing. Similar ideas were floated in 2019 but were beaten back by public opposition. The fact that they're back now shows a real determination to get this done. The potential impact is massive, affecting Section 8, public housing, and more. Housing advocates are sounding the alarm, and for good reason. At its core, this is a debate about what public housing should be: a stable foundation, or a temporary stopgap. These proposals clearly lean toward the latter, aiming to reshape federal housing aid into a system of hurdles. And the people facing those hurdles, some of the most vulnerable in the country. The most explosive part of this plan targets mixed-status families. Currently, families with both citizens and undocumented members can receive prorated housing assistance. The new rule would end that. If one person is undocumented, the whole family loses aid. This would directly impact about 100,000 people in 25,000 households, many with U.S. citizen children. The choice? Break up your family or lose your home. Eligible children could stay if their undocumented parents leave. That's not a real choice. The vast majority harmed would be legal U.S. citizen children, punished for their parents' status. The fear this proposal creates is already having a chilling effect in immigrant communities. Many families, even those eligible, may avoid applying for help, terrified of being targeted. This pushes them into overcrowded, unsafe conditions, deepening instability. It's a revival of the failed 2019 plan, which the administration's own analysis said would cause widespread homelessness. Critics say this rule does nothing to solve the housing crisis. It just scapegoats a vulnerable group. The real casualties? American children, made homeless by policy. It's a solution in search of a problem, and the solution is to make thousands of kids homeless. This isn't about fixing housing, it's about advancing an anti-immigrant agenda. And the cost is paid by families and children. The proposals don't stop at immigrant families. They target nearly everyone in public housing. The draft rules would let local authorities require workable adults to work a set number of hours to keep their housing. If you can't find a job or work enough hours, you could lose your home. Millions could be affected, including people already working low-wage jobs, caregivers, and those facing barriers like lack of childcare or disability. The policy assumes stable jobs are easy to find, which isn't reality. On top of that, the rules suggest a 2-year cap on housing assistance. For many, especially the elderly or disabled, public housing is the only thing keeping them off the street. A time limit isn't an incentive, it's an eviction notice. Critics argue there's little evidence that taking away housing helps people find work. In fact, losing your home makes it even harder to get a job. Instead of promoting self-sufficiency, these rules risk creating a vicious cycle: lose your job, lose your housing, and fall further behind. It's a policy that punishes people for struggling, then blames them for not getting back up. The result? More instability, not less. And the most vulnerable pay the highest price. Combine evicting immigrant families with kicking out those who can't meet work requirements, and you get a recipe for a homelessness crisis. Housing experts warn these rules could push tens of thousands onto the streets, with rents at record highs and no affordable options left. The trauma of homelessness, especially for children, has devastating long-term effects on health, education, and emotional well-being. Forcing families to choose between staying together and keeping their home is psychological torture. The fear of eviction or being targeted discourages people from seeking help, making the problem invisible but no less real. The administration can then claim fewer people need assistance when, in reality, people are just too afraid to ask. These policies ignore a basic truth. Housing is a foundation for stability, not a reward for it. Taking away that foundation increases poverty and hardship. Instead of solving problems, these rules deepen the crisis. It's a punitive approach that hurts the very people it claims to help. Who's hit hardest? Latino families, especially those in mixed-status households. This isn't a neutral policy. It disproportionately targets a specific ethnic group, deepening racial and ethnic inequalities. Work requirements and time limits also hit the elderly, disabled, and single-parent families the hardest. For many, meeting a strict work requirement is impossible, especially with high childcare costs and limited support. These rules seem detached from the real struggles of low-income families. Instead of offering a ladder up, they threaten to cut off the bottom rungs. The result? Stripping support from those who need it most, dismantling the safety net for vulnerable groups. It's not reform, it's targeted harm. Supporters claim these proposals promote self-sufficiency and personal responsibility. They argue work requirements will motivate people to join the workforce, and time limits will free up spots for others. The goal, they say, is efficiency and independence. Critics, including most housing experts, call this nonsense. Most recipients who can work already do. Those who don't face real barriers. Taking away housing makes it harder, not easier, to find work. The rule targeting mixed-status families is seen as a thinly veiled anti-immigrant move, not a real solution. Even the administration's own analysis shows it would cost more in emergency services than it saves. Instead of addressing the root causes, like the shortage of affordable homes, these rules punish the vulnerable. The debate is about whether housing is a basic right or a conditional privilege. These proposals choose punishment over support. As of now, these are just draft proposals, not official policy. The administration must go through a formal rulemaking process, including a public comment period. A similar rule was defeated in 2019 after massive public opposition and legal threats. The fact that it's back shows determination, but it will face another fierce battle. If enacted, these rules would mark a radical shift away from housing as a safety net. The future of millions, children, seniors, people with disabilities, hangs in the balance. The outcome depends on public outcry and legal challenges. The stakes couldn't be higher. Pay attention, this fight isn't over.